Hello, and welcome to another podcast for Sacred Sobriety, a Path for the Soul. I am your host, Timothy Berman, here to inspire you, edify you, and help you with ways to grow in your recovery and walk as you press forward with steadfast faith through Jesus Christ. And today we are going to talk about the Sphere of Exaltation, and this comes from My Utmost for His Highest by Oswald Chambers, and it is based off of Mark 9 verse 2. And what this is about is a bit interesting because it contrasts being on the mountain and also being in the valley. And this is kind of where I've discovered how mindfulness in my own life, in my own recovery, in my own spiritual living a crucified life through Jesus Christ has really catapulted me into a deeper relationship with Christ, a deeper understanding of faith and a deeper understanding of the scriptures, and how I have really truly experienced a consistent transformation through my life. And so this is just a wonderful, wonderful message. Hopefully you will be able to gain some insights out of this and have some takeaways from this in ways that will open your hearts and minds and soften your hearts toward the things that our Heavenly Father has want to speak to you where you're at with regards to your recovery process and your own discipleship and your own path of living a crucified life through Jesus Christ. And so, like I said, today's podcast explores the connection between personal growth and spiritual awakening within the framework of exaltation. It emphasizes the significance of ministering to oneself and others, especially during challenges like recovery or crisis of faith. This journey involves both uplifting spiritual moments as well as dealing with everyday struggles. Exaltation combines moments of clarity, likened to standing on mountaintop, with the daily realities of life, referred to as the valley. While mountaintop experiences provide strength and understanding, the valleys are where true character is forged. These challenges teach resilience and gratitude. A key theme is the purpose behind spiritual exaltation. These moments serve as motivators, guiding individuals towards personal transformation and a higher purpose. Recognizing the difference between self-focused spiritual practices and genuine growth is essential. Signs of spiritual selfishness include seeking praise, chasing emotional highs, and feeling exclusive in spiritual circles. However, mountaintop moments may lead to lasting change if approached with reflection and community sharing. Such experiences may encourage others and challenge individuals to go beyond fleeting feelings. Valleys, despite their difficulties, offer invaluable lessons. They teach the importance of community, spiritual nourishment, and ministering with compassion. Struggles in recovery reveal inner strength and patience, making individuals more resilient. Ministering is crucial for spiritual health. It involves supporting oneself and others through shared experiences. Building support systems fosters connection and empowerment, creating a nurturing environment for growth. Defining personal spiritual purpose involves understanding how experiences shape identity. Embracing the journey includes recognizing the significance of both highs and lows, finding meaning in everyday moments, contributing to a deeper sense of purpose and connection. And so, the journey of ministering encompasses both exaltation and trials. Both aspects are vital for spiritual growth. Engaging with this duality may enhance one's relationship with faith and provide strength amid challenges, sharing stories within a community that can further support us on our path. And so this is just kind of a summation of what I am going to present to you. So stay tuned and be ready to be inspired, edified, and empowered in your recovery process and journey. All right, I hope you're ready to be inspired, empowered, and edified by today's message from Oswald Chambers, My Utmost for His Highest. And we're talking about the sphere of exaltation and how that fits within a recovery perspective, specifically for those of us who are holding to a Christian worldview and faith. And I was thinking about this, and there was a bit of a trepidation in presenting this because of my own faith background when I hear the terms of exaltation. And so I don't want to get into the theological and doctrinal perspectives of that. However, it is quite fitting because it reminds me of this idea that when we look at the mountaintops and the valleys within our recovery process, within our lives, there is this idea that when people first come into recovery, they refer to it as the pink cloud syndrome or the pink cloud, where you experience this high of recovery. You experience this sense of euphoria in recovery, and everybody goes through this process. And so, the moment you experience that sense of liberation and that sense of freedom, it does create a sense of high. It creates that. And I think a lot of times what happens is, like addiction, when they refer to addiction, it's chasing the high. It's chasing that high to experience that euphoria that comes with it. And it's a temporary euphoria. And when we take it out of that and put it in a perspective of an eternal perspective, put that in a recovery perspective, and put that in a faith-based perspective, we do have those moments where we experience a sense of spiritual high, where we feel we've been brought to the mountaintop. However, eventually we have to come down from the mountaintop. We have to come down into the valley. When Moses was up on the mountaintop speaking with God and receiving the commandments, he had to bring that down to the valley. He had to bring it into the valley. And when we talk about Christ was always, teaching on the mountaintops, yet he then had to walk down into the valley. In fact, one of the lowest places in Jerusalem is the Garden of Gethsemane, the lowest place that the Savior could have gone to, and then was pressed even to the ground with such heaviness that that it caused him to sweat great drops of blood. And so I was thinking about this and meditating upon it, and these moments that we have where we are on this pink cloud or we are experiencing the spiritual high, they are good, they are wonderful, there's nothing wrong with that. However, eventually we have to come back down to the valleys. We have to walk back down the mountains and come back into the valleys of reality, come back into the valleys of where we're at. And what is interesting that comes to mind is the famous passage in Psalms that though I walk through the shadow of the valley of death. Well, that's what it's talking about. It's talking about us coming off of the mountains and coming into the valley and walking in that valley, living out our faith, living out our recovery in the valley, in those moments. And it also reminds me of a story that I believe is from the late Buddhist monk Thich That Thong, where he's talking about these monks were dining and they were eating dinner, and it came time to do the dishes, and one of the younger monks, if I remember the story correctly, wanted to help out doing the dishes. And the statement was made, don't just do the dishes. And this is where the mindfulness comes into play. And hopefully you're able to follow me with this, because what it really speaks to is that we live life in ways that we experience the mundane. We experience as the daily rituals. And so we tend to get lost in those daily rituals. We tend to get lost in the mundane. And a lot of times we go through our days checking off our to-do list. It's like, okay, I got this done. I got to do this. I got to do this. Well, I got to do this. I got to do this. And then we start feeling a sense of being overwhelmed. And we become busybodies in a sense. And when we shift our focus from being busy, to looking at our everyday lives as ways to be productive, it makes a very profound difference. And think about this for a moment. When you ask somebody how their day is, they typically will respond, well, it has been very busy. It's been very hectic. They sound exasperated. They sound a little bit defeated, maybe irritated and disappointed, but they're just rushing to and fro, going from one place to another place, and just feeling so overwhelmed that they don't have time to breathe. And they feel like they're suffocating under all of this. And in recovery, I think that happens too, because when you come in recovery, there's a lot to do. There is a lot to take on. There's a lot of things that are happening in your lives. Change is happening, and sometimes it's happening at a rapid speed where you just feel like you're just being thrusted like a rocket into the space of change and recovery, and you're just getting so overwhelmed, and that's the place where we end up falling short. That's the place where we end up missing the mark, and we end up entertaining and romanticizing our previous lifestyles, our previous substance use or addictive behaviors, that we then end up moving more and more towards that, because that's what brought us comfort when we got into those places of feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and unable to manage our emotions, our mental state, and our spiritual affairs and relationships. And we're just so inundated that we don't take the time to appreciate even the most mundane things. And so getting back to washing the dishes, don't wash the dishes just to wash the dishes. It basically means don't do things in your everyday life that are mundane, that when you're walking in the valley, don't just go through the motions to do them, to get them done. Take a moment to experience what it is to wash the dishes, the feel of the water, the soap, and then just be present in that. And here's the thing that I've learned. When you start practicing mindfulness, this is how simple it is, folks. It is so simple that when you go and you wash the dishes, that is an opportunity for you to connect with Christ. That is an opportunity for you to connect with our Heavenly Father. That is an opportunity to offer up your prayers. And in that moment, you can focus on that and pray as you're washing the dishes, and be present and aware of what is happening, how you're responding to it, what is happening. And it kind of frees you from the shackles of this, I got to do. You go from being this idea of a servant to being of service, if that makes sense. I don't know if I said that correctly, but we're not enslaved to these chores that we have to do. Oh my God, as a kid, you remember, I have to do so many chores. When I was growing up, my chores were, I had to take out the trash, I had to help out with the dishes, I had to fold the laundry. And it wasn't just doing those. You had to do them in the right way. And, as they say, if you do it right the first time, you don't have to go and do it again, and that kind of thing. And so what does all have to do with the sphere of exaltation? What does mindfulness have to do with this? And being on the mountain and then coming down into the valley? Well, let's hear what Oswald Chambers has to say. I kind of get excited if you hear it in my voice. I tend to get excited about some of these things. And so the passage is Mark 9, verse 2. After 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John with him, and led them up a high mountain. We've all had, and here's what Oswald Chambers says, we've all had times on the mountain when we've seen from God's viewpoint and have wanted to stay on high. But God will never allow this. The test of our spiritual life lies in our ability to keep the vision God gives on the mountain in our sights as we descend. If we only have the power to rise, something is wrong. It's a great thing to be up on the mountain with our Lord, but He only takes us up with Him for one reason, so that we may go down again into the valley and lift up those around us. We aren't built for the mountains and the dawns and the breathtaking views. They are for moments of inspiration, nothing else. We're built for the valley, for the ordinary stuff of daily life. That is where we have to prove our mettle. Spiritual selfishness always wants to get back to the mountain. When we are spiritually selfish, we are always claiming that if, of course, we live like angels, if we could stay high on the mountain. We have to learn that moments of exaltation are exceptional. They have meaning in our life with God. but we have to make sure that spiritual selfishness doesn't cause us to want them all the time. We tend to think that everything that happens is meant to teach us something. A mountaintop experience isn't meant to teach us anything. It's meant to make us something new. God wants our experiences to develop our character. When it comes to spiritual matters, there's a great trap in asking, what's the point of this? It isn't for us to know the point. The moments on the mountaintop are rare, and they are meant for something in God's own purpose. And then here's a wisdom from Oswald Chambers. Sometimes if you're going and you're reading the website devotional that I've linked, he sometimes ends with a wisdom from Oswald, or there's a wisdom from Oswald Chambers. And here it is. We all have the trick of saying, if only I were not where I am, if only I had not got the kind of people I have got to live with, if our faith or our religion does not help us in the conditions we are in, we have either a further struggle to go through, or we had better abandon that faith and religion. And I think that's interesting. And this is the reason why I love Oswald Chambers, and I'm so glad that I have decided to start this podcast, Sacred Sobriety, A Path for the Soul, basing it off on what Oswald Chambers has to say, because there's a lot of good insights in there. And so what does this mean for us? Where am I going with this? Well, it's all about ministering through the sphere of exaltation, where we can embrace sobriety and faith. In the sphere of exaltation, we find a profound connection between personal growth and spiritual awakening. Many of us embark on this journey seeking solace and understanding during challenging times, like recovery or crisis of faith or struggles within our own faith. A big part of this path involves ministering to ourselves and others, addressing the depths of our hearts and the challenges we face. When we focus on ministering, we heal and elevate our spirits. Experiencing exaltation isn't just about spiritual highs, but about integrating these moments into daily life, nurturing a resilient faith. By embracing this process, we open ourselves to healing and growth. And so let's take a moment and explore how such exaltation shapes recovery and transforms our spiritual journey, fostering compassion and hope along the way. Understanding the sphere of exaltation. So when we talk about the sphere of exaltation, we're diving into a profound aspect of spiritual growth. It's a place where moments of divine uplift meet the everyday hurdles we face, helping us to grow beyond our current state. The mountaintop experience. We've all had those moments where everything seems crystal clear, like standing on a mountaintop looking out at the vast possibilities. In spiritual terms, these moments are pivotal. They remind us of the bigger picture and offer clarity and strength that we carry into every day. Think about when you've had a breakthrough in understanding or felt a deep connection to a higher power. These experiences shape our beliefs and inspire us to continue our journey. You know, this brings to mind when I was younger and I was part of the Boy Scouts program through the LDS faith. I always looked forward to going on our scouting trips, especially when it was camping and hiking up to the mountains. And I think I've shared this in a different podcast. There's a particular place we would always go to maybe a couple times a year. It is on the Olympic Peninsula, and it's going up and it's right around the staircase. Those who are friends of mine from high school are familiar with this area that I'm talking about. And there's a few hiking trails up there. Well, one of the hiking trails gets you up to two lakes. The first one is Lower Lena Lake, and then there's also, you hike further up and you get to the Upper Lena Lake area. Well, getting to Lower Lena, you have to, whether you're hiking up to Lower Lena Lake or you're hiking up to Upper Lena Lake, the first part of the trailhead is you have to do switchbacks. And if you understand what switchbacks are, you know, you kind of are zigzagging your way up, that you're ascending very slowly by going up one direction and then switching over, and then and it could be quite grueling. And so I can't remember the it's probably about a half a mile, maybe a mile of switchbacks. Eventually it kind of does level out. You still are ascending up to the mountain, and then you start heading up. And the reason this brings to mind is I always loved when we went on these hiking trips that when we got to our destination, and you took that heavy backpack off, and you have that respite you're able to enjoy, and just being around nature, being around that area, you're away from all the noise and conundrum. Of course, this is before the internet, this is before cell phones, this is before social media, and so we're hiking up this trail, and you're just in the Olympic Peninsula. You're up on the Olympic mountain range, and you're just in the area. The water's crisp, the water's fresh, and it's cold, very cold if you've ever swim in mountain lake water before, even on a nice, hot, sunny day. And it just was always nice. It was just always wonderful to just get out and do that. Well, eventually, you have to come down from the mountain. You have to remove yourself from that experience and come back down from the mountain and bring yourself back into life, bring yourself back into the sense of reality, and bring yourself back into the everyday humdrum, going to school and dealing with family relationships and things like that. And so we have these mountaintop experiences in recovery. We have these mountaintop experiences in our Christian faith. However, it's not meant for us to stay there. We eventually need to come down into the valley, and we are to walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Death being the metaphor of where people are, because we are coming down, and how we approach life determines how we are going to live out those moments every single day. And a lot of times, you hear people say, I need a vacation from my vacation, or I need to go on another vacation. They can't wait to go on another vacation because they are coming to the realization that coming back from vacation, we got to get back to work. We got to get back to living life the way we've been living life. We've just taken a break from that. And so, in a way, I see this and I understand this. And so we have these mountaintop experiences. And maybe you've never had a mountaintop experience, and so you might not be able to relate. And I'll tell you, when you have a mountaintop experience, it is the most wonderful thing you can ever have in your life, even if it's just one moment in your life. And it's just that for you to experience. Where we really need to experience our faith, where we really need to grow, though, is when we are in the valley, when we are living life on life's terms. And so the valley of daily life, while the mountaintop experiences leaves us refreshed, life is largely lived in the valleys. Here in these day-to-day struggles, we find our true selves. It's where words like ministering truly come to life as we meet others in their time of need. Overcoming obstacles teaches us resilience, patience, and gratitude. By facing life's challenges head-on, we're able to appreciate those moments of exaltation even more. The growth from these struggles may feel slow, but each step is meaningful. And here's the purpose of spiritual exaltation. What's the divine purpose behind those uplifting moments? They're like beacons guiding us, encouraging us to keep pushing forward. These moments of spiritual exaltation aren't just about feeling good. They're reminders of the strength and potential within us. They point us towards our higher purpose, urging us to rise above our difficulties and continue ministering to ourselves and others. They're not just peaks to reach for. They're essential markers on our path to spiritual fulfillment and personal transformation. In our journey through life, understanding the interplay between exaltation and everyday challenges makes us stronger. Each mountaintop and valley has a role in shaping who we are becoming. And so let's talk about the contrast between spiritual selfishness versus genuine growth. In our journey towards spiritual awakening and recovery, it's crucial to distinguish between the pull of self-focused spiritual practices and stepping stones toward growth that truly transform. As we seek spiritual enlightenment, we might face dilemmas about what drives our actions. Are we ministering to ourselves by seeking moments of revelation, or are we genuinely growing? Let's walk through these significant contrasts. So how do we recognize spiritual selfishness? Well, sometimes what appears to be spiritual growth may be driven by personal desires rather than genuine enlightenment. How are we able to tell the difference? Here are some signs of spiritual selfishness that might help us recognize if we're leaning more towards that. 1, seeking praise. Are we more intent on gaining recognition for our newfound insights rather than genuinely helping others? Emotional highs. Do we chase the euphoric feeling of spirituality without integrating these experiences into everyday life? And then exclusivity. Do we guard our spiritual circle and experiences, feeling superior or more enlightened than others? Understanding these signs helps us reevaluate our spiritual journey. Are we using spiritual growth as a means to bolster our identity, or is there a genuine desire to transcend and minister to the world around us? Now, let's talk about the transformative nature of mountaintop moments. We all cherish those mountaintop moments of spiritual exaltation that feel transformative. However, they are just fleeting highs, or they may can they fuel lasting changes? Here's how these moments may serve as a catalyst. Gives us an opportunity to reflect. Instead of merely basking in the bliss, these moments can push us to reflect on areas needing change. Community growth. Sharing these experiences may encourage others on their path, tuning selfish moments into collective growth. And then personal challenge. These peaks challenge us to step outside our comfort zone, making us question if we're genuinely moving forward spiritually or stuck in a loop of feel-good experiences. You know, that reminds me, when you read the stories in the scriptures about people who, for instance, Moses. Is Moses the only one that comes to mind? Or Christ himself, when they've gone up to the mountaintop and they've experienced God and they've encountered God and they received this transformative power and they've been touched by the divine, when they come back, they still have to face. When Moses came back down from the mountain, he faced the sin and spiritual rebellion of the Israelites and worshiping the golden calf, fashioning and creating this golden calf and worshiping it. And so he then destroyed the initial records and law that God gave him, and he went back up to the mountain and God gave him the 10 Commandments. And so we have to come back into a place, we have to come back into the valley where we have to live in the world. We have to live in the world, in where people are being rebellious, people are engaged in addictive behaviors. When you go into recovery rooms, you're going to be stepping back out into toxic environments. And so these moments may give us a challenge. And here's what I wanted to say that I bring that up, is because the challenge isn't what happens on the mountaintop. It's what are we going to do with that when we come down to live our lives in the valleys. And so they challenge us to step outside of our comfort zone, making us question if we're genuinely moving forward spiritually or we're still stuck in a loop of feel-good experiences. And I think a lot of times we get spiritually stuck, or we get stuck in recovery because we want to continually have those feel-good experiences. We want to experience that on a continued basis. And that's not what is meant for us to do. They're good, they're wonderful, they when appropriately catapult us into furthering our faith and our growth. However, if that's all we're chasing, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't prove nothing, and we're not being transformed. We're not being changed because of it. And so while these mountaintop moments offer a glimpse into spiritual bliss, the real magic happens when they encourage actionable steps, helping us grow and minister to others. In recovery, these moments are pivotal, offering not only personal peace, but also fostering a supportive community environment. By examining these aspects, we cultivate a balance between personal exaltation and authentic spiritual development. As individuals recovering, living in sobriety, or battling a crisis of faith, we understand that genuine growth enriches not just our lives, but also those around us. And so here's the lessons from the valley. In our journey through life, it's inevitable that we will encounter valleys, those challenging times that test our strength and faith. But these valleys offer valuable lessons. They help us grow, understand ourselves, and build a deeper connection with our faith. And here are two key areas where we want to explore how these lessons become evident. The first key lesson is that it helps us overcome struggles within our sobriety and our faith. Many of us know how tough it is to keep the faith alive while in recovery. Finding our way through both sobriety and faith crisis can feel like a constant uphill battle. But isn't it during these tough times that we truly discover our own strength? Here are some insights we can develop. It begins by leaning into community. We can't do it alone. Connecting with others on the same path provides much needed support and wisdom. Fellow believers often share stories that resonate deeply, offering new perspectives. Second, helps us seek spiritual nourishment. Just like our bodies need food, our spirits require nurturing. Prayer, meditation, or even a quiet moment in nature may refresh our faith and remind us of our purpose. Ministering with compassion. We're not perfect, yet serving others may be healing, because helping someone else on their recovery path may provide clarity and reinforce our own faith journey. And then it's the building of resilience through the trials we face. Resilience isn't just a buzzword, it's a crucial trait we develop through facing our valleys. This resilience propels us towards personal growth and spiritual maturity. And here, let's go ahead and break down why this is essential. Learning patience. You want to learn patience? Be in the valley. Because when times are hard, patience becomes a precious lesson. It's in waiting that we cultivate hope and endurance, which strengthens our faith. Recognizing our inner strengths. The trials we face are like weights, building the muscle of our spirit. Each obstacle overcome is proof of our growing strength and resilience. And then finding meaning in adversity. Resilient people see challenges as opportunities for growth. We may reflect on our valleys as transformative periods that shape our destiny. As we navigate our valleys, whether they're battles with addiction, crises of faith, or everyday struggles, let's remember we're not alone. Resilience and belief in a higher purpose guides us through, allowing us to emerge stronger with renewed faith and hope for the future. And then ministering to ourselves and others, well, this plays a vital role in sustaining our spiritual health and connection, especially when we're navigating the challenges of recovery, sobriety, and crisis of faith. It's about taking care of our own needs while also reaching out to help to others who may be struggling. By fostering a sense of community and empowerment, we may create supportive environments where everyone feels valued. And here are some ways we are able to weave ministering into the fabric of our everyday lives. Recognizing the importance of support systems. Support networks are the backbone of personal recovery. After all, none of us are meant to journey alone. By building a circle of trust with family, friends, or like-minded individuals in recovery groups, we may find solace and strength. Support systems offer a space where we may be heard, understood, and encouraged. Think of a support system as a lifeline. It keeps us afloat when we feel like we're drowning in our troubles. Picture a net woven with the threads of empathy, shared experience, and unconditional acceptance. It's there to catch us when we fall. But it's not just about receiving help, it's about giving it too. When we contribute to others' healing, we also mend parts of ourselves. Because this requires open communication where we share experiences and emotions that may lighten another person's burdens. It also provides a place for mutual understanding, knowing others have faced similar challenges that gives us hope and inspiration. And then the collective wisdom, because learning from each other's successes and failures provides valuable insights we may need for that day. And how do we create a culture of empowerment? Well, empowerment within a community means giving everyone a voice and encouraging self-efficacy. But how do we create such an environment? It's about fostering a culture where everyone may lift each other up rather than push each other down. A culture of empowerment thrives on encouragement and positive reinforcement. When we celebrate each other's victories, however small, we create a momentum that propels us forward. This environment allows us to flourish and be the best versions of ourselves. And this happens when we have encouraging leadership, providing opportunities for others to take the lead in group activities. Celebrate success, celebrating milestones together, big or small, and then promotes accountability, encouraging responsibility for one's actions, and encourage personal growth. And so ministering requires us to be proactive, not just reactive. It's about planting seeds in others that inspire growth, and as these seeds blossom, our community blossoms too. By creating a support system and culture of empowerment, we pave the way for a nurturing and uplifting environment for all of us on the path of recovery. And so this gets into defining our own personal spiritual purpose, because in our journey of recovery and self-discovery, understanding our spiritual purpose may be a guiding star. It is about more than religion or belief in a higher power. It is about how we minister to ourselves and others and how we align our experiences with what gives our lives meaning. It would be likened to tying together various pieces of a puzzle that shape the unique picture of who we are meant to be. As we seek to honor our spiritual path, embracing both joy and difficulty becomes essential. And so we want to embrace our own personal journey, becoming the hero of our own story, because life is filled with peaks and valleys, creating a vibrant tapestry of experiences. We must embrace both the highs and the lows to truly understand our spiritual journey. Think of it like climbing a mountain. The view from the top is breathtaking, but the climb there is what makes the view worthwhile. Each step, each stumble, and each triumph molds us into who we are today. Reflecting on our daily lives, every challenge and success is an opportunity for growth and connection. By accepting this rhythm, we strengthen our spiritual resolve and deepen our compassion for ourselves and others. And then we need to find meaning in the ordinary. In the hustle and flow of daily life, it's easy to overlook moments of profound spiritual significance. Yet it is in these very moments that often carry the most weight. Finding meaning doesn't always require grand gestures or earth-shattering events. Instead, it often lies in the ordinary, in a warm conversation, a helping hand, or the sunrise that greets us each morning. These simple acts foster a sense of belonging and purpose as we minister to those around us and ourselves. These seemingly mundane experiences shape our spiritual journey, weaving a rich fabric of everyday moments into our lives' purpose. So take a moment to reflect. How does your everyday experiences contribute to your understanding of spiritual purpose? Have you noticed how small actions and quiet reflections may bring clarity and peace to your own soul? By observing the ordinary, we connect with a deeper meaning, nurturing our spirit in very profound ways. And so I want to leave you with this thought as we conclude this message for today. The journey of ministering is not just about reaching spiritual heights. It's about embracing our trials as integral parts of our growth. Exaltation often takes us to peaceful moments of clarity. However, it's our struggles that shape us and draw us closer to understanding our faith. We need to see both the highs and the lows as essential in our spiritual journey. Embracing this duality may lead to a deeper, more authentic relationship with our beliefs and our Heavenly Father through Jesus Christ. Let's open our hearts to these experiences and find strength in the balance they bring. So I'd love to continue this conversation with you. I'd love for you to share your story or thoughts with myself and others if you're listening to this on the YouTube channel. You can do so in the comment section. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the alert bell to get the notifications for this. And I'm at 80 followers right now on my YouTube channel, so I'd love to hit 100 within the next couple weeks. That would be awesome. So it's through community that we find support and encouragement on our path. Also, I want to take an opportunity to thank you for listening to this. Thank you for being able to be part of this, and hopefully you're finding this helpful and edifying and empowering as well. And like I said, share with me your thoughts in the comment section as you're at the YouTube channel, at the blogger website, Sacred Sobriety, and or connect with me on the Facebook page, Sacred Sobriety, A Path for the Soul, and we can continue the conversation there in those places. As well as, if you feel the need, if you want to share this, I welcome that. Share this with other people who may be struggling in their life and who are looking for something to latch onto, some form of encouragement, and share this with them as well. And then if you are a person of means, or if you are willing to sponsor, you can become a Patreon member and sponsor Sacred Sobriety. By doing that, it's only $5 a month, and you get access to exclusive content that is not published on the website. Also, you get early access to content before it goes live on the Podbean platform, the blogger website, as well as YouTube. And if you don't want to become a Patreon member, that's fine. However, if you do want to support financially and make an offering, please do so. There's a link that says Buy Me Coffee. You click on that link and it just takes you to the webpage where you can make that happen. And, it's just $5 or $10 or $25, what you feel that you are willing to offer in support for this, because it does cost money for the hosting platforms for this and the software I use to help get these content prepared and proofread and ready to go for you guys. And I do my best to limit the cost factor for that, and anything that goes above and beyond that, I do make offerings out of that as well to other ministries, other places that I find beneficial. And so I'm not making any money off this for my own selfish desires. I have been accused of that. It's more to just help offset the costs and to help just promote, because one of the things I want to be able to do is to promote some of these content through the social media networks. Guess what? It costs money to do that. And so, having the funds available to even promote this through, Facebook ads or YouTube ads and things like that, I do need to spend the money to do that. And so that is where a lot of that goes to that. And so I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you supporting in whatever means necessary and what that means for you. Also, just pray that hopefully I will be able to keep this going, and that you are inspired, and that it helps not only you, but also helps other people who need to hear some of these messages and to engage in a healthy recovery process, and also to live a life that is mindful and crucified through Jesus Christ, pressing forward with steadfast faith in Him. And with that said, I want to take this time to thank you, and have a great day.